Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 19.
Or Episode 41 if you're counting.
And again, I'm pretty sure you're the only one who's ever counting.
Yeah, like I've said before, I've got one job at the top of the show, and that's to list off numerically how many episodes we've had.
Let's just give somebody, like, a wiki a job, alright? Let them keep track of this for you.
Come on, I don't think we're that important yet to where somebody wants to make a wiki of this little show.
Way less important wikias. Let me tell you a thing.
Okay, tell me a thing. Please, educate me.
Well, I've just seen really less important things.
I am so educated right now.
I know, right? This is what I'm here for, to school you.
And of course, this show is at the moment being broadcast live, so thank you to everybody viewing right now on Twitch.tv.
Yeah, thank you very much again for showing up pretty unexpectedly. Again, next week will also be live, as it is the 20th episode of the season, and usually we were going to be doing this every, 10 episodes or so.
But we figured since we'd taken 2 weeks off for the holidays, we'd treat you guys to a live one.
So, at least the 18 of you who are there, 2 of which I think are us. So...
I count it. It's still a view.
Alright, I don't think both of us need to be in here creating fake view count.
Yeah, but it's a view count of 2 off. That's not much in the grand scheme of things.
Alright. So that, actually, before we continue on much farther, again, we are being brought to you by the Southwest Animation and Gaming Expo, happening in San Antonio, Texas, January 30th through February 1st.
Next year.
Not this year.
Next year, in this month.
I've got some awesome guests that you guys should go check out.
Have we said on the show who the guests were?
You know what? We didn't update with the new guests.
Okay, so we can do that right now.
Yeah, I mean, they've been announced now, but I don't think we actually said it on the show. For one, Obscurus Lupa is one of our guests, as well as Phalus.
Yes.
Have both been added to the guest roster. So, we're kind of coming up in the world, I'd say. Also, on February 1st, we have our 1 year till event. So if you guys want to go to swagexpo.com to check out that information, if you're in the San Antonio area, I highly suggest that you do.
We'll be there at said event.
We're going to be having some tournaments of some variety, and I know that I'm pretty sure we're planning on doing my cartoon intros marathon. I've sort of based this, if any of you have ever attended All-Con, there were some Japanese guests there who year after year were doing an all-anime and some tokusatsu intro.
Otakuzake was the name?
Otakuzake, or the Otaku Booze Brothers. Fanboy Booze Brothers, as they like to call themselves. Because they drink all night. They run a 24-hour event at All-Con where it's
Which is amazing.
It's amazing. Nothing but 24 hours solid of just the opening sequences of a whole bunch of anime and tokusatsu shows. So what I kind of wanted to recreate, this of course is not going to be 24 hours, but I wanted to recreate an American cartoon TV intro marathon. Like, you can come up and sing along with it. It's really a lot of fun because everybody just sings along because it's all common knowledge to everybody.
It's like you pull the pin on the nostalgia bomb and then pow, everybody gets the feels. And having gone, what was it, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago because they didn't go last year.
No, because you had talked it up so hard and you're like, you gotta come. And you're like, okay, fine, I'll try it out. And I get to go up there and sing along with these guys. They don't speak much English. I only speak so much Japanese, but we're up there, arm in arm, Semaru Shoka, singing along to the original Kamen Rider theme. And it was the funny thing, because I think we mentioned it before on the show, where they did a block of the American Power Rangers intros.
Well, that happened the year you weren't there.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Because it happened a couple years in a row, and they specifically set up all these Super Sentai intros, one after another, year after year, in chronological order. And then they followed it up with all the Power Rangers intros up till that point. And most of the audience was American, but they did have a hunk of Japanese people who were there enjoying the 24-hour
Japanese
marathon
natives.
too. Yeah. And they had only seen so much Power Rangers. They knew Mighty Morphin by heart. They knew Go Go Power Rangers! Like, they knew that.
Yeah, that's easy.
And then they saw one after the other, and it's like their minds were blown. Like, they really thought that Power Rangers looked really awesome. There was a whole bunch of, whoa! Like, they were so excited. It blew my mind. But in any case, like, it sounds really lame, like, just watching just the 30-second or 1-minute long opening sequences of cartoons. But, like, if you go, you sit there and you realize, oh, I watched that! I still remember the lyrics to that! And then sometimes you'll see things like, what was that? Did I miss that? They made a cartoon out of that?
Yeah.
Like, it's,
It blows your mind.
Like, how many people know that Bill and Ted had a cartoon series?
I remember
like,
the Bill and Ted cartoon series.
See, like, there's these things that, like, they shouldn't have a cartoon series, and yet they do.
Well, it was like that. There was that one period in the early 90s where all 3 major Jim Carrey movies all had a cartoon.
I watched The Mask, alright?
I loved The Mask. Absolutely loved The Mask. And then there was Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber, all of which Rob Paulson voiced Jim Carrey in all 3.
Yeah.
So that was a piece of my childhood right there. But not to digress too much, if you guys want, we do now have the capability on the website to go ahead and register not only for badges, but rooms.
Actually, yeah, the rooms are really important. In fact, what's the cool thing about reserving a room?
Yeah, right now if you do a 3-night stay, you get 2 badges for free.
That's if you're one of the first 50 people to do so.
Yeah.
I mean, that is really freaking cool, you guys. Like, I can't think of another event that is
offering something
that
like
has had that sort of an offer where just if you reserve the room, you get 2 badges.
Right.
But you gotta be one of the first 50 people to do so. So you better get on that while there's still badges to be got.
Yes.
There's quite a lot to talk about this episode. There are some stories that we'll spend a little bit of time on, and we'll go ahead and talk about it right now.
Yeah, so first and foremost, we'll go over our stories for tonight. First and foremost, we wanted to talk about just this weekend, we had the U.S. premiere, a little bit before Japan got theirs, of Space Dandy over on Toonami, the Adult Swim block there on Cartoon Network, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Following up with that, there's a little more information about the upcoming Super Sentai series, Tokkyuger. You've got all the information about that.
Yeah, we got a lot more information about that. And then the third story we weren't expecting to cover, but this kind of is the trend with Sailor Moon. So, like, y'all gonna have to wait a little bit longer.
Like, technically this is spun as good news. It doesn't say it doesn't say that it's delayed in the news stories, but it is saying that now the Sailor Moon new anime is not coming out until this July. So that's like a full year's delay from what it was originally expected. And we'll go into that a little bit further later. First of all, we were gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and a lot happens in 2 weeks.
And we really wanted to talk about what's been going on in these last 2 weeks first, and that might even be a large hunk of this episode that we're on right
Possibly,
now.
yes.
And then we might only briefly touch upon these news stories. So I want to kind of forewarn you guys right now.
Yeah.
That having been said, well, we were at IkiCon.
Yes, we were at
not
IkiCon.
This past weekend, because this past weekend was MagFest, but the weekend before that.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, in Austin was IkiCon. Gosh, how many years have they been doing it now?
10, wasn't it?
No, because they started in like 2006, 2007? Whatever. It's been a few years.
It's been a few years.
So, and that was cool. We actually did have a Swag Expo booth there at the event. But what was
7 years. It's been 7 years.
It's been about 7 years, yeah. But what's been more exciting about IkiCon was that we hosted a Tokusatsu panel.
Yes, and thankfully we had cameras rolling. So if you go over to my page on YouTube, Josh Knight the First, we have the whole of the panel there for you guys to watch if you're interested in.
We specifically wanted to spin it in such a way that was not like Tokusatsu fan appreciation panel. It was more like Tokusatsu 101.
Right.
You know?
Really, we designed it with the emphasis on if you're not familiar with it, if you don't even know what the term means, then you probably want to show up to this and then get a little bit of an idea of what you're getting yourself into. Mm-hmm. And we had a fairly nice crowd there, very responsive.
Actually, I have to admit, when I sat up there and I said to them, this is not a fan appreciation panel, but more of if you don't know what the whole genre is like, this is educational. I expected like half the room to be like disappointed and get up and walk away.
Right.
Nobody left.
No. Yeah,
Nobody left.
Just about everybody stayed the entirety of the panel, save for a few people who had to get onto another panel towards the end, but I'm very happy with the turnout. Honestly, I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, perhaps if in the future there could be a chance to do like 2 panels, like one on one day and one on the next, you could kind of do like a 101 and a 102, and then you could talk more about the things that you like really nitty gritty know more about. Then you could throw out more terminology, like the reason why we wanted to do it was because when you start throwing out terminology, shoot, the word tokusatsu itself
it's very it distances people.
Because when Americans only start off knowing about, like, Power Rangers and maybe Godzilla or something, then
everything looks like Power Rangers and Godzilla.
So they get scared off by words like tokusatsu. They don't know what a Heisei or a Showa is.
They don't know what Henshin means. They don't know what Gatai means. They don't know any of this terminology, and for the most part, they don't want to, so you have to,
So you can't come at them with TV Nihon terminology all over the place.
You don't come at them as a fan, you come at them on their level, and then bring them up to speed, like, okay, this is what this means, this is how it's used, and this is what it looks like. And I think a lot of people responded to that.
I can't open this water bottle!
Oh, give it here. Yes, we get very thirsty while doing the show. But a lot of people responded to that. We had a Q&A session at the end. No bad questions. I was expecting a couple of, your basic, who's your favorite writer? No, none of that, really. I mean, I got asked what my favorite belt was. That's as far as that got.
Well, but no, people were honestly excited to be there, and if the opportunity arose, I'm sure we would totally do it again.
Oh, yeah,
probably
absolutely.
make a couple of adjustments to it, but,
it
was the first time for everything.
Yeah.
That having been said, that was the majority of what was awesome about IkiCon, but IkiCon probably wasn't the biggest thing to go over in these last 2 weeks.
No, the biggest thing was this past weekend.
Well, yeah, definitely.
The polar vortex.
I don't even know what that is.
It was the snowstorm that hit the East
that's
Coast.
what the weather people are like.
Yeah,
meteorology.
But before that hit, MagFest.
No, not even before that hit, because we got stuck in the polar vortex.
Well, yeah, it
delayed our planes.
Okay, so we had a layover between here, because our flight was from here to Atlanta, then Atlanta to Maryland, to DC, right there. And we had a 3-hour layover. That 3-hour layover turned into about a 7.5, 8-hour layover. So instead of getting to DC around 10, we got there at about 2:33 in the morning. Which sucked.
It was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad. Like, this was admittedly, my first time seeing snow in my life. Like, up close, getting to touch snow. Because, I've lived in South Texas my whole life.
Having snow hit you in the face.
Yeah. And you know what? Snow is not, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. It took me 28 years to realize that.
Well, yeah, because it keeps you from getting to your destination on time.
Yeah, it keeps you from getting to your destination, and then everything's wet when you take it off.
See,
so that
my
kind of puts a damper on things.
When I went to my first MagFest, this was now 4 MagFests ago, I made the brilliant decision to drive there from Texas.
I get why you did it, but I don't know why you did it.
Well, it's money. And
yeah, that's why I get why you did it, but I don't know why you did it.
But it was my first experience driving through snow. And this being a Texas vehicle I was driving in, said car did not have snow tires. Was driving nonstop. It was dark, and then it started to snow. That was the scariest freaking thing I'd ever experienced because, like, it really wasn't even a heavy snow, but it was, like, with your lights on and the snow's coming down.
The light reflects off the specks of snow.
Like, it was coming at me so fast! I was so scared. I was so scared. That and the other 3 people in the car were all... And I was like, come on, one of you guys need to keep me awake while I'm driving, you guys, in the dead of winter.
Okay, I'll keep you awake. Start driving.
Yeah, alright, so how you...
I wasn't one of those people, for the record.
No, because he wasn't there that year. So, aside from 4 years ago, so we did get to MagFest, and we unfortunately technically only spent 2 days there, because Thursday was completely shot thanks to travel.
Yeah.
So we only spent Friday and Saturday.
All that snow delaying us in the airport. Thanks, Obama.
And then Sunday morning, we left very, very early, like 7 a.m., so there was, like, no Sunday
But we got to enjoy some stuff on Friday. We got to see that, the improv panel there with Jared. That was... I always end up hacking up a lung because I'm laughing so hard watching them go at it.
Oh yeah. Of course, our biggest reason for being there, as always, as you saw from our last broadcast, was the MagFest Nerf War.
Yes.
I actually believe we have somebody here in the chat room who covered our Nerf War, so thank you very much, Gomer.
Oh, yes.
There have been several videos now that have gone up, and lots of pictures. If you guys haven't been to one of our wars, you gotta get to one of our wars. In fact, we're supposed to be organizing a couple of wars, as hosted by the Southwest Animation and Gaming Expo here in Texas. So if any of you guys are here, keep an eye on us, because we're gonna be doing more events here locally. Between now and then.
It was surprising because this is the 3rd year we've done it, and the difference between this year, as per other years, was that this year, yes, we had to deal with snow on the ground, so that kind of shortened our numbers compared to last year, but not by much in the grand scheme of things.
Not by ridiculously much. I went about the RSVP system a little bit differently, because this time I was actually able to keep register of who all RSVP'd, and I just was able to check people in manually here on my laptop, which I think went very, very smoothly in the grand scheme of things.
That helped a lot.
Oh, that was a big help. It was better than writing names down on a notepad from the hotel room.
Like we did last year.
Like the previous year. It was better just to already have these names and then type yes, or just Y. Made it much easier. 65 people checked in with me, and I'm positive that more than 65 people were there.
Give or take 10.
And, you know, people stumbled in at the last minute, and that absolutely also does not count, you know, people watching from the sidelines. You would often look in the windows, and there were just people looking
lined
out
up
at
watching, like, who are these weirdos running around with these dart guns in the snow?
Like, that was why, like, it seemed a little more barren outside, but people wanted to see the Nerf War and wanted to participate in it, but they didn't want to be cold.
Right.
So they stood
completely
inside.
Understandably.
That is absolutely fine. I get
Yes.
it. I get it. I sort of was really, really terrified of how cold it was going to be, because you saw my face, like, wind blistered like
after
that.
Your face blistered from only about 3 minutes exposure the day prior.
And I warned you that was gonna happen, and you're all like, oh, you're such a pansy. But then
you lucked out though, because it only looked like you were wearing blush, so it was fine. You got lucky.
And in fact, actually, a day of Nerf War on Saturday was not nearly as frigid as it had been the Friday night before. So things were fine, and as you're running around, you know, you're feeling pretty good. You can
still manage to work up a pretty good sweat, despite it being, 30 degrees outside.
Yeah, so you don't necessarily care that it's cold out. I really was hardly feeling it at all, to be honest. I thought I was going to have to wear, like, 3 jackets, and it turned out for half of the time I only needed 1, and the other half I only needed 2, and, thin jackets, not real big ones that I thought I was going to need.
The good thing about it, now that we've done this several times, is that I guess we've more or less put it out there that we're willing to come to other events and host said Nerf wars.
And I believe we've been invited to one other. I actually need to verify whether they've included you, but I'll get back to that. Because I'm not going to do it without you.
Well, no, because we're a team.
Yeah. I really want to kind of put the word out there that we're looking into getting memorabilia created. This is partially because it will help us to fund our own event and make sure everyone's taken care of, ourselves getting out to events if necessary, and
but by that same token, ammo isn't cheap.
And ammo's not cheap yet. Everyone loses ammo. We want to be able to provide ammo to you. If you don't have your own ammo, we still, I think, are going to keep with bring your own gun rather than supplying people with guns. It's just not very easy to bring a whole lot of weapons, unfortunately. And then, like, I would really like to see if somebody can design shirts for us that are specifically MagFest Nerf War related.
Yeah, we've been working on trying to come up with logo. I think I have one in my back pocket, actually.
What?
I thought I had it. Hold on. Wait, no, never mind. Just go on without me. I don't have it.
Alright. I had no idea this was even a thing.
Oh, yeah, see, I was working on it at work today.
I see you were also trying to come up with something that looked like Kamen Rider Decades logo.
No, I'm not. See, those are darts, and those are two strong arms, and then the Nerf sword.
I really can't tell. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not the greatest artist, obviously, which is why we need somebody else to design this stuff.
I would really love it.
So thank you for making me feel so good about my art skills. That's great. I'm just trying to help.
I'm sorry.
I support this cause so much. I took darts to the head.
I know. So did Nash, and he got really mad about it.
Oh yeah, that.
He got really.
I'm sorry, Nash. I don't know if you're watching. I'm sorry about that. It might have had something to do with it.
But no, I would really love for like us to have official organizers shirts, and then for other people to be like, hey, I participated in Nerf War, and maybe get a shirt if you like, and see if we can sell them on the cheap, perhaps. Like,
but we'll see how that works in the future.
I think that would be great. And also, I'd love to also get a hold of just a big old Tupperware bucket full of goggles.
Yeah, that might be a thing that we might have to start doing.
Full of goggles. We can only tell you guys to wear goggles and glasses so much before we say, now it's required for you to wear goggles. I'm pretty sure year 4, we're gonna make everybody wear goggles.
No, because see, we didn't have enough time to implement the whole Iron Man mask thing that I was coming up with, you know, in order to protect the face area, but we're gonna need to work on that.
Yeah, I would very much say so. But from all that we can see, this has turned out to be a real success, and I don't see why we wouldn't keep going back to do it over and over again.
No, as far as I'm concerned, we're going to keep doing this.
Yeah, because let's be honest with you, it was a hard weekend. It really was, and it seemed like things would be great, and then just as soon as they were great, they were not so great again. But as soon as we got to the Nerf War...
The look on people's faces watching and participating made it all worth it, to be honest.
You can specifically see when you go back and you look at photographs, there's not a frowning face in any of the frames to be found anywhere.
Well, I don't know. There might be 1 or 2 frowns, but they just got shot.
Yeah,
but there's a reason for that. And they're still happy to have been shot.
Well, shoot! The people lying down on the ground are lying down going, hey, I've been shot, it's a Nerf War, yay! Like, nobody is sad at the Nerf War. It never happens, and everybody is such a good participant, you know?
Yeah.
They all listen.
For the most part.
The only orders that they can't follow are freeze and fire, because counting to 10 and shouting freeze apparently means shoot everyone in the face. Nobody seems to know that. Other than that, everyone cleans up when they're told, hey, it's time to clean up. Everybody follows directions. Like, I am so proud of everybody at MagFest. I'm really not sure how well the event would work in some other convention settings, but MagFest is
only time
great.
will tell, but far as we can tell for the immediate future, we will continue to do this at MagFest, God willing.
God willing, yeah.
Okay, so we didn't announce it as a story, but I just wanted to take a minute, if I can, and we discussed this ahead of time. Again, important things happening before, after the last show we did, and then before we did this show. I wanted to take a few minutes to congratulate Matt Smith on completing his run as the Doctor.
Oh, okay.
On Doctor Who, of course, the Christmas special, The Time of the Doctor, was his last episode that he'll do for the foreseeable future. A lot of people had problems with the writing here and there. I share some of those complaints. But all in all, what I watched the show for was the very tail end, when he basically said his goodbye to his companion Clara, and really to the rest of the world at large watching. That part I felt was very well written, very poignant, and you cannot deny that this man at the helm of this role managed to make it and help it grow into the global phenomenon that it is now, instead of being the geeky, in-the-closet thing that it may have been 10, 15 years ago. Now, like I've said before, constantly you see people now free to walk around with their TARDIS shirts and their Doctor Who keychains and what have you. And, I'm happy for the guy. You say, well, he could have stayed another year, but you know what? I respect him as an actor wanting to go on, pursue other things, because he can do that. He's free to do that. Any actor is free to do that. Am I sad that he's gone? Yeah, I'm sad. Is there stuff that I think could have been better? Yeah, of course, but that still doesn't change. For a lot of people, he was part of their lives for the last couple of years. And you know what? I'm going to miss him. So, you know what? Good for you, Matt Smith. I hope you do great work, and I look forward to seeing what you come out with next.
I have nothing to contribute.
Well, would you have something to contribute about our first story?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll actually get to our actual stories. Here comes Beyond the Black Rims. All right, go.
Okay, so now our show starts.
Our show starts, what, half an hour in now?
Almost, yeah. So really, we wanted to talk about the premiere of Space Dandy on Toonami this past week.
Thankfully, we were able to catch that while we were at MagFest.
Yes, and I'm so glad we did. I think the only thing I was disappointed with particularly was it had to be right off the bat, and it made me kind of worried. It was the intro not having been Viva Namida.
Sung by Yasuyuki Okamura.
It was previewed months ago. The full-length music video had already come out. They had already teased that this was going to be the song that was going to be the intro to the
awesome
series.
Song.
It was a pretty dang good song, and a pretty
boss.
dang good promotional video too, because the artist is rendered. He's rotoscoped to look perfectly like he just popped out of the anime Space Dandy itself. And unfortunately, they just used, I assume, some OST...
Yeah, some BGM there.
Some background music from the series laid on top of some clips of the music video, and
some clips of the actual opening...
Of the series, and some clips from the actual opening that they used, and it just wasn't the same thing.
Fortunately, though, I believe that, what is it, this week or next week, they will start using clips from Viva Namida in the opening.
Well, that's the rumor anyway.
I'm hoping.
I haven't heard that confirmed. That was a big letdown for me, but really, I'm relatively satisfied with the rest of it, and I think I'm only as satisfied as I am because we later went to Funimation.com, where actually you can watch the episode for free, but only in Japanese, subtitled. They do have the dub available on Funimation.com, but you have to be one of their paid registered members. What is it, like their Funimation Elite, Advanced, some junk like that. But you can watch the Japanese version for free. And really, in comparing the two, it seems really obvious it seems painfully obvious to me that this was marketed toward Americans.
Toward a Western audience.
Very strongly so. For one, they use the term breastaurant in both versions, which I am convinced was not a word that existed in the Japanese language up until a few years ago. Because
no, not even a few years ago. That term was only recently coined over here for certain restaurants that, of course, you know, have
boobage in their waitresses. But only like 2, max 3 years ago did the very first Hooters open up in Tokyo, in Japan at all. There's really not that many.
Wait, they have Hooters over there?
Only just barely. And they mostly had to import their waitresses.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
So they didn't hire any local girls.
They hired a couple local girls, but out of like...
I need to do some research real quick.
I'm telling you, out of like, let's say 10 waitresses, maybe 2 of them are Japanese girls. That's what I'm telling you. And I'm saying that, like, the idea of a restaurant is very much a Western idea to begin with.
Right.
Sure, there's, like, host and hostess clubs. Like, that's
not the same thing, though.
It's not exactly the same thing. The restaurant is its own category.
Right, right.
So, the dub and the sub, they're relatively the same. They tell the same story, they get the same ideas across. But the slang used all over the place in the English, it feels way more colorful.
It feels more natural.
It feels more natural. And it's not like the Japanese version is wrong or bad. It's just that I feel like they can only so much capture these American images and ideas. I mean, it's very plain that Dandy himself, the main character, who looks like a dang rockabilly, you know? Like, that's a very American classic sort of image. It just plain is. That's all there is to it. In fact, I don't know if I've talked about this before, and I think I have at some point.
No, you have.
About outside Yoyogi Park.
Yeah, you talked about that the last time we covered Space Dandy.
Yeah, and I'll say it again, you know, they come out every Sunday, and there's all these people dressed up like 1950s rockabillys, just jamming out, just kind of dancing like this. They don't really know what they're doing, but it's been going on for years, and they love it, and they play classic American-style 1950s rock music. It just seems very, very evident to me that it comes out over here in the States before it hits Japan. That
was a major decision when we covered that.
They've got American imagery in the main character, and locations that really speak to a northern or a North American Western audience.
Locations in space?
Yeah, restaurants.
Oh, right, Boobies.
Boobies.
Because that's the name of the restaurant.
The name of the restaurant is Boobies, and it seems very evident that they're aiming for us more so than they're aiming for them. On top of that, I also really liked the auto-tune aesthetic.
On QT, the robot there on the ship. Now,
because in Japanese, they actually do not roboticize the voice of the voice actors.
There's no filter there, but that lends a little bit more because Japanese language is a little bit more, how would you say, more rhythmic in breaking up the syllables, so you can make it sound robotic a lot easier.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like I kind of made up that idea, like, well, their speech style is more syllabic, and yet it really didn't sound like a robot to me anyway. I thought maybe, like, they could get away with it, like, maybe the Japanese would more easily believe, oh, the voice is coming out of a robot, it's a robot. But I really like the auto-tuned voice.
Which is weird, because you absolutely hate anything else that's auto-tuned.
It's not a song. It's trying to be... I see what it's trying to be. It's trying to be a robot.
Right.
It legitimately wants to be a robot. I hate when you've got a song where you're trying to make someone who can't sing sound like they can sing, but it's obvious that they're just being auto-tuned. That's what I'm saying. That's where I dislike auto-tuning. That having been said, yes, the series breaks the fourth wall a ton.
It does it right off the bat. You know, we've got aliens like the narrator speaking. There are aliens like this, and these over here, and those. But then there's a lot more, but I'll skip them. Like, this is the narrator talking to the audience.
They throw in a Galaga alien in that lineup of aliens. Like, it's literally a Galaga alien.
Like, if you've ever seen a Galaga cabinet, the alien that's right there on the side is right there on the screen.
The thing that we just sort of stumbled upon on Funimation's website, and this I didn't know, is that apparently it's only planned on being 13 episodes?
That sucks.
I mean, we'll have to.
I mean, I like my series to be a full 26 run.
Hey, is his gun red, white, and blue?
It sure is.
See? This is for Americans. This is not an anime for the Japanese populace. I am telling you.
Well, let's bring it in for a second and let's
Okay,
actually
I'm sorry,
talk.
we were talking about 13 episodes.
Let's talk about, 13 episodes seems too short for this show that even with one episode out seems like it's got a lot of promise, because, like, let's talk for a second about Dandy himself and how incredibly full of himself he seems, because he thinks he's really cool, but you can see very clearly towards the end of this episode he has no control over his ship, which is kind of a piece of crap, and then his gun wielding skills, like he's trying to twirl his gun around and obviously drops it as he's trying to do a trick with it. But he's just like, oh, okay, whatever. And
I'll just let it be. Then no, I meant to do that. Like, he doesn't say that, but he plays it off like nope, I didn't need that.
And I like that.
Yeah, I think some people found themselves disappointed with it. I mean, I know some people found themselves disappointed with it, and I wonder if that's perhaps because they expected something else. Whereas I think the whole time when I heard that they were aiming for America first, launching the show first, rather than giving it to Japan first, I felt like they're doing it. This show's made for us. Like, I thought immediately, like, because they knew that Watanabe's series...
Well, his style overall...
Well, his series have had massive popularity in the States. They know it's been big here.
And of course, the Western influences are very visibly and even audibly apparent with Samurai Champloo, and even before that, of course, Cowboy Bebop.
Mm-hmm.
You could see through and through that those series were spawned out of ideas over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that carries over into Space Dandy, so it would only make sense that, yeah, they would tailor it a little bit more for a Western audience.
Right.
Now, of course, this remains to be seen. If you guys have a chance, it'll be airing again 11:30 Eastern this Saturday on Adult Swim on the Toonami block.
That's 11:30. You
Eastern.
said Eastern.
Yeah.
I have no idea what other time zones that ends up being.
10:30 Central?
Is it?
Yeah, because it's an hour difference.
I don't have TV.
I do. And it's great.
We should probably really rush the other two topics.
Yeah, how much time do we have left? That would be interesting to know. Oh, we got time. Okay, so, yes, Space Dandy, we really liked it. We think you should probably watch it.
At least give it a chance, and probably give it at least a second episode, because the first episode is probably more of a pilot than it is anything else.
Right.
Second topic.
Okay, so we'd been sitting on this topic for a little bit because we didn't just want to rush out and say, oh, here's thing, and then not have anything else to talk about. We wanted to wait for a little bit more information to be let out. Thankfully it has.
Mm-hmm.
So now here it is. The next Super Sentai, the 38th entry in the series, Resha Sentai Tokkyuger, which really is just Trains Sentai Tokkyuger.
And you were asking me about the word Resha at one point. I mean, some people might be familiar with the word Densha, especially from the series Densha Otoko or Train Man. And Den in Densha just means electric, so you got electric car, Densha. But before trains were specifically electric, as they almost all are now in Japan, there was no term Densha, electric car. It was Resha, and some particularly older citizens of Japan do indeed still use the term Resha. It's just not common anymore.
Well, I remember specifically in the opening for Kamen Rider Den-O, when they refer to the Denliner as the train of time, the term that they use for train there is Resha.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would also make sense, especially when it is talking about time, because you can always call a train Resha, no matter what time you're in.
So Densha would be the more modern version.
If it's electric, yes. If you were to go into the past, it would pretty much always be Resha.
Yes.
So what have we learned now about this new series?
Well, we've learned that the costumes are a little bit more old school. A lot of people don't really seem to be gelling with them just yet, but usually what ends up happening is that when people don't like a drawing or don't like a still shot, usually they get won over once they actually see a person in suit. I know I'm like that. I didn't necessarily like them when I first saw them, but now that we've got promos out for these new heroes, it doesn't look as bad in motion.
I'm gonna give a bit of an explanation about these suits, and I think I might have even said so at some point during some broadcast before in the past. But, these suits, while being very, very plain, there's a reason for that. If you've ever looked, I encourage you to go right now and just Google the Tokyo Metro train line map. This is like your standard subway map, Tokyo Metro. These suits look like the colors and the very straight lines of the Tokyo Metro. The bright neons, like that neon green directly matches one of the neon green lines in the Tokyo Metro. And it might not be aesthetically pleasing as far as a suit design is concerned, but when you're talking about a show where they're catering not only to children, but to train fanatics as well, the train fanatics are gonna eat this crap up. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Like, I see what they did there! I see what they did there! They're being trains!
Because generally, what they end up doing with the green costume is the green is a little bit more forest-tinted, more plain green than what you're used to, but here they've definitely gone for a lighter neon. And you can compare that to this year's green or even years before that. The color difference is notable. Also, to be taken into account, their transformation device is wrist-mounted yet again, and basically they insert a little model of their individual train. Like, each ranger has a train specific to them that they'll insert into this wrist morpher, so to speak, and then transform with that.
I'm a little disappointed with that, actually. I'm kind of more wishing it was like a ticket system, which is similar to what they used in Den-O.
Well, see, that's what I thought about that too, but then I realized this is a Super Sentai series. They'll probably use that gimmick for the 6th Ranger.
That might be, but like to kind of compare it to Den-O, you know, they used your standard
pass,
like monthly pass or a pass that you'd have to load with money, and you take this pass if you're not somebody who's familiar with a train system. Most modern train systems use this kind of card system. You go up and you touch it to the gate, and then the gate opens and you walk on through. I was kind of hoping that, like, this would be a wrist system where you got a little ticket. Like, if you're just buying one individual one-way ticket, you get this one little stub, you insert the ticket into the gate opens up, the ticket pops out the back end of the gate as if it were a toaster, and it just popped up like a bagel, and then you go and you grab this bagel ticket out of the gate, and you move about your business.
You'll remember in Den-O, that's actually how the second writer Zeronos' belt worked, was that he inserted his card into the belt, and then it came out the other end.
Yeah, and I used a system similar to that in getting to school all the time when I was in school in Japan as well. So you'll understand why I'm a little disappointed that it's like, it's a model of a train! Boop!
Well, but
that kind of bothers me.
But you also understand that based off that notoriety over there in Japan, there's a high likelihood that they'll implement that for the 6th Ranger, or something similar to it.
I kind of hope so, because here, all they seem to want you to do is buy toy trains.
I mean, let's get that right off the back. They want these trains to be the collectible thing this year.
So hey, like, those trains are those trains the things that combine into the robot? Because then that would make sense as a toy. Because then you just buy the individual wrist thingies and then turn it into a combining robot.
That is exactly how it works. What ends up happening is that the as I understand it, I believe you get one with the actual wrist device, but if you buy the actual, what we refer to as the Megazord, each one of those little and I could be wrong on this, so don't quote me specifically, but I believe they sell individual ones that fit into the wrist changer that can also be put together and transform into their large mech. Now, admittedly, the mech looked freaking stupid on paper, but now that I've seen the actual suit, little less so.
I'm still not crazy about the suit, but his sword's a wigwag. His sword is a
railroad crossing guard, the likes of which we haven't seen since Go-Onger, which seemed a little out of place at the time, but then when you take into account that the third set of, or really the fourth set of mech in that series combined as a train, it made sense then.
Exactly.
Now,
so I really think that Westerners, as much as Westerners have recently been eating up tokusatsu in general, as much as they might not like it, it could possibly be because it's absolutely a big cultural difference. I think it's a massive cultural difference, and if you don't like it, it's probably just because it really wasn't made for you. It really wasn't, which is not bad. It's just, you're going to have to understand, you might have to wait till next year if this isn't going to be your thing.
Yeah. I imagine, and this is just me, I probably won't sit through the whole thing. And for some people, that's like, why wouldn't you do that? You know, they're all good. No, they're not all good. Not everything is great.
Go Busters wasn't good.
And really...
Go Busters wasn't good.
I know. I share that.
Go Busters was not good.
Well,
Go Busters!
Can I give my explanation?
Sucked!
I know it did. Let me give my explanation. Really, personally, I have a hard time with shows where the Red, the leader, I don't buy him as the leader. And really what I refer to with this is Go-Sager, the last big example of this, because in that season, Gosei Red, out of suit, I did not buy that he was the guy in suit. And this has happened for Rider series too, where I'm kind of okay with people, but in suit, it just doesn't make sense. And looking at the Red here, he looks pretty weak. And he sounds very light. And I'm not saying that he won't be a good character, I'm just getting the feeling that I'm going to have a hard time believing that he's the guy in suit.
Well, I'll probably like him in suit.
Well, probably, yeah, because then he'll be making these train motions.
Chugga 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 chugga.
Toot toot. But yes, that'll be coming next month. Resha Sentai Tokkyuger. Somebody will probably sub it, and you'll be able to watch it then. I'll probably give my thoughts on that once it airs.
I will watch it because trains.
And that you're exactly partly the audience they're looking to bring in.
Yeah, because it's not for the Sentai. It's absolutely not for the Sentai, because I'm really not a Sentai person. It's the trains.
It's all about trains.
It's the friggin' subway system.
Okay. So moving on to our last story, we talked about it at the top, and we're bringing it up again. Okay, so Sailor Moon was gonna come out a couple months ago.
Before that, it was gonna come out last summer. Now it's coming out this summer.
So,
yay!
So, stop me if I'm wrong here. That makes it, what, the third time it's been pushed back now?
Well, I don't know if you can say pushed back, because we knew it was getting a pushback. We just didn't know until when. Now, all they're saying is, now we know when the pushback date is. And it's, what, July?
In July.
I don't even know if they have an exact July day. They do not.
But they said July. We at least have a month. That's better than nothing.
It's a wedding present to us.
Maybe, depending.
If they don't delay it again.
Well, see, here's the thing about it, though.
Sailor Moon forever!
I appreciate your enthusiasm, but realize that what we're looking at here is this thing has been pushed back, what, a full year?
From its original planned
Well, no,
launch
this was
date.
announced summer 2012, and this will be summer 2014. That's 2 years.
It was announced summer 2012, and I'm pretty sure it was supposed to premiere last year.
Alright, so then it's still delayed a full year.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm
kind of
saying.
long. And we had a friend earlier make the comment that, so what, Sailor Moon's anniversary anime is pretty much the stick of truth of anime.
No, the Duke Nukem Forever of anime.
Well, stick of truth too, because that's getting pushed back every 5 months anyway.
Yeah, well, call me when Stick of Truth has been delayed for 10 years, and then it comes out.
Okay, fair enough.
Alright. Same with this. Like, it has been a long time, like, it's coming. It's coming, just like those dragons in
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. They're coming.
They're coming, and they're gonna be incredible! There's gonna be 5 of them! 5 dragons! There's gonna be 5 of them!
So
5 Sailor Scouts!
When are we gonna see them? When are we gonna see
When are we gonna see the Sailor Scouts? They're coming. I swear they're coming. They're gonna be awesome. They're gonna be the Sailor Scouts you remember, and they're gonna be even better. One of them's even gonna be a lowly. They're gonna be awesome.
Oh.
And it's hard to keep hope alive, because by this point we know that it's still not coming out for another at least 7 months, and we still don't even have anything other than a few scans of what the characters look like. We don't have any sort of promotional, not even a 15-second clip to get our hopes up.
We know who the original creator is.
We've known that.
We know who the director is. He directs One Piece.
Well, see, here was the thing that
We know who the script supervisor is, and he's worked on Precure.
Well, see, here's the thing that I was thinking about earlier today when I was thinking about this, was that originally Fig Arts, the company that makes a lot of Super Sentai and Kamen Rider figures, they were coming out with the Sailor Moon Fig Art.
I mean, Fig Arts has done a lot more than just...
Oh, yeah, but you know what their big draw, toy sales are.
They also do have a big draw in giant robots.
Yeah, well, that's a separate line. But point being, that figure, the first Sailor Moon figure that they came out with, was supposed to coincide with the release of the first release date for the anime, but then they kept pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back, so that by this point, by the time this thing premieres, I think just about every Sailor Senshi will have already gotten their figure.
Including the Outer Senshi.
See, that's the thing I'm worried about, because we're running out of the 5 already.
Yeah, once we start getting to, like, Saturn and Uranus and Pluto, like, once we start going down that road...
Like, you're running out of figures to buy you time to keep people interested.
Once they start getting Jadeite and...
Zoisite, and Queen Beryl, and Enzite, I mean...
and once you get to Queen Galaxica, like, now you're going too far.
Although I will say, I will pre-order if they come out with Tuxedo Mask. I don't know why they haven't made him yet, but they need to.
With a little rose. And
yes, and I will super glue, because that's me, I will super glue his mask sunglasses onto his head, because that's part of the costume, and you don't just eliminate that for no reason.
Are you getting mad at that live action?
Yes, I am. I'm
the
having
the most recent musical performance?
Yes, I'm reliving that right now.
Okay, you want to bring them up to speed for a second?
No, because we talked about it before.
We've talked about how upset we were that
Yes!
that Tuxedo Mask was not wearing his/her mask for the majority of the performance.
Yeah, we already talked about that.
Okay, well, I thought it would be relevant to bring up again because this is the
Okay, so
topic.
Tuxedo Mask didn't wear his mask for more than 5 seconds.
Okay, I already covered that.
Okay. Wow, you're good.
I know.
You're so good at this.
We also know who's performing the theme song, but we've known that too.
For a year.
In fact, they might even not be together anymore by the time this series comes out, because
I think
they're
by this
supposed
point,
to be young and cute, and then when it's 1 or 2 years later, they're not young and cute anymore by Japanese standards.
No, they're going to be on a reunion tour. They're going to be headlining Vegas.
Oh no, you know their career's over at that point.
Making this. They are contractually obligated to stay together as long as this anime is still on its way to us. So that's a given. We don't have to worry about them breaking up. They might be you know, heaven help them, in their 20s by the time it finally comes out. But they'll be together, and they'll be singing the opening.
Which we don't know whether or not that is in fact Moonlight Densetsu.
Don't we?
No, we know that they have performed Moonlight Densetsu, and that was for the sake of that most recent stage musical.
Right.
And that's all I know. I don't know that
that really is all we know. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, that is all we know about this. Like, it feels like there's been too much time wasted over these last 2 years that we've known about the existence of this series for us to know only this little about it and its production and its release. And to have no further imagery, to have no audio, to have no description of, oh, is this going to be close to the manga? Is this going to be some
Well,
new
no, we know it's going to be some weird retelling where they kind of become younger versions of themselves.
Well, I'm starting to wonder whether or not that was truth, because, I mean, we found pictures, but I didn't really see where those pictures leaked from. So, I honestly, I don't even know. I don't know how close it's going to be.
Probably not that close based off the
know
last bit of
anything
news.
anymore.
Probably not close based off the last bit of news we got. I mean, new can be good, I just don't know yet,
Now
and I
it
won't
might
know
be-
until we see it.
Now it might be like the difference between Powerpuff Girls and Powerpuff Girls Z.
I actually liked Powerpuff Girls Z.
Well, you know what? It wasn't bad, but I don't think it's Powerpuff Girls.
It was their version. I let them have it.
It was a series.
It was a series.
These are two different series.
I
They
was
don't
found
together.
weird. I think it was Thailand or Indonesia got an English dub of that, but we never got that here in the States.
Oh, I'm sure it sounds funny.
From what I remember, they actually did get most of the voice actors to come back for it.
Oh, well, that's weird.
Yeah, see how weird that is?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm pretty sure we're scraping the end of the time here.
Probably. We should probably wrap this episode up.
Okay, so, how do we do that? It's been 2 weeks and I don't remember.
Okay, well, we thank you guys for coming out here.
Thank you very much, as always, and thank you for joining us very last minute. Again, next week we will be back live again, as it will be our 20th episode of the season.
For this episode in particular, if you stay with us after we end the actual episode, we'll take comments and questions from you guys for a little bit. In the meantime, until next week, you can follow us on our individual Twitters. I'm at Josh Knight First.
I'm at Mars Girl Prod.
And until our next Season 2 20th episode, like we said, I'm Josh Knight the First.
And I'm Mars Girl.
And we'll see you next time on Beyond Black Rims Live.
See you next week.